Okay, so welcome to part 3. Now, this is where we are on that host that we created and we are ready to install some virtual machines on top of that host. Now, this is where it depends on what is your business and why are you doing this? This could be you're working for a small company and they may require a second server like a file server. This could be you working for another company and they may need a backup solution, but you don't want to invest into a big hardware. You just want to keep something small, virtualized, and give it space and memory. The possibilities and you working in a virtual environment is unlimited, and it's business to business based model. So in our business, let's say for example, I want to provide live training to 50 people. Now, of course, I need a lot of compute power for that. And for that to do this, I would be exactly doing the same thing. I would spin up a server, and then I will spin up some virtual machines on top of it, and that's it. I will use another tool, remote tool, where I can do more advanced stuff like firewall stuff, and maybe work with a developer to give you a member access to that virtual machine. Or I will just go for another third-party softwares and connect it to our servers and do a lot of different things. Of course, I'm not going to be getting into that right now, because we want to be doing things generic skills that can be applied anywhere, and that really is going to be up to you wherever you land a job and how they use it. So in our case now, we have a host ready. I don't know why I opened Paint. We have a host ready, and then we need to install our first virtual machine, so then you guys can see how to do that. So the first thing I needed is what? ISO. Just like we did the first part, you need to download that. I copied it to this server from a USB to the local folder ISO, and I have this 2019 server with me right now. So let's see. Yeah, this is a server 2019, and maybe you want to create a personal lab for yourself. You can also use that for this, right? So now I'm gonna go ahead and open Hyper-V by clicking on Start Menu option here, and then I'm gonna go to the apps, or you can go to the administrative tools. Usually if you do this, you can also pin this to the taskbar, so then next time you don't have to open it from there. So I'm going to open up right now, and we're going to create our first virtual machine on MGT 2012V. Now, what if you have more servers? What if you have more hosts? You can right click here and connect, and then from one server you can manage them. So easily there on the right side, it gives you information you can create directly from here. Since we're creating our brand new first VM, I would like to do it from here. So just to show you more options here, you can see there are options, and on the right side you have options too. So then we're going to click on virtual machine. Now this is where, of course, we're not going to go too detailed in this stuff, but it's a click next kind of options, just like any other virtualization, VirtualBox, VMware. All of them had the same type of templates. So we're going to click next here. We're going to name it. What do we want to install? So if I want to say I want to install my first domain controller for this lab, I'm just going to call it DC1. And where do you want to store this? If you don't pick, then it will pick the normal program data. But I like to keep it a little bit simple for myself. So I'm going to go to the C drive and then create a folder. I'm going to call it VMs. And here I am going to go and check this box and go and pick that folder now. And I'm going to click go to C drive, and here I'm going to call it VM. And now I'm going to click, oh, I shouldn't have clicked finish. That's the mistake right there. But let's say I did a mistake. What happened then? I did a mistake. I clicked the finished. How do I go back? If I right click and go to settings now, you see now it gives me all these settings, and I can go back and change things. But I don't want to do it this way now. Later on, you guys can come and do these edits. But let's go ahead and create another one. Now I'm using the second option. Next, and here again, I'm going to click on DC2. And I'm going to use DC2 now. Store this image right here. Browse. Go to PC, VM. And click next now. I didn't click finish this time. So you see you have two types of generations in the Hyper-V. So one has a little bit more advanced features, just like VMware. When you put VMware tool inside the virtual machine. It gives you more enhanced features. Here you have to pick a generation. To keep it simple, I like to use generation 1, but if I want to go a little bit more advanced, I want to do Pixie boot, secure boot, and things like that, then I would go for generation 2. And this is where you play around with this stuff. Like, you can change the memory here. I'll say, okay, you know what? I am going to give it dynamic memory, or maybe I want to give it more memory. Let's say I want to give it 428. And I randomly pick this numbers. Of course, you're going to look into what this turns out to be. That probably would be 4 GB or a little less than that. Or if you want to do 8028 or something else and want to make it exactly 8, just go to Google and type what is MB. My mind is not working at this point. So here you need to pick Ethernet. So you're going to pick Ethernet here. And if you have 2 Ethernet, then make sure you pick the one that you want to use. We're going to click next here. Now that's where it tells you, okay, where do we save your disk? This is important stuff right here. This is going to be your hard disk. This is the virtual hard disk of your operating system. So if you want to be copying things next in future, you want to make things super easy for yourself, then this is important for you to know where it's getting installed. So we're using this, and we're going to use only 35 GB space from this whole, and maximum you can go to 64 TB. That's a huge space right there. So we're going to use, later on we're going to show you in part 4 how to use other options, but here we just want to click and simply install our operating system. But how do we install an operating system? If I click install now, it's going to D. So if I had physically plugged in that DVD, then I would be choosing this option. But if I want to use an image file, I'm going to use ISO, and that's the file that I copied over to my C drive, ISO, and here I'm going to pick that. I'm going to click next now, and here now I'm going to finish it. So this way I had the ability to go and pick it for myself. But if I want to go back to DC1 and go to edit, and I did that mistake by finishing it, can I still do it? Yes, of course. You can come to the memory, and here you can change it. You can see you have other options to enable too. If I want to change the processors, because I feel like one virtual processor is not enough while having so many cores, 24 cores. If I have it, then that means I have a lot of virtual cores in this. And like I said, you're not going to run out of the cores if you're playing around with in a normal environment, unless you're working for a huge environment and you're deploying some huge operating systems and things like that. Yeah, you will need that then to be beefed up. Here you can see that I was if I didn't pick up the image file in that option, when I click finish, then I can come here and change that. If I didn't pick the network, it's not going to work. If I install operating system, it's not going to work. Why? Because it's not connected. I'm going to have to connect it here, right? And then you have other options too. Then of course you have, in virtualization, you have lots of different options that you can play around with and to get really, really good at. But at your level, at help desk level, like I said, some of the things will be done for you. The decisions to make how many virtual CPUs, how much RAM should be used, is by your manager and system administrator. Why? Because you don't want to go into the host and assign one virtual machine everything. What if you do that? And what if you have so many different critical systems working and nobody told you that? They will not let you do that, because you will crash everything, because now you have given so much power to one virtual machine and it impacted every other system in that host. So yes, you are not going to get this type of, you're going to have to ask, just like Active Directory, you need to ask what is the naming policy, what is the policy of this. You need to ask about what is the virtualization compute policy I need to be using in my business, right? So that's where we decided the next option, and then I showed you how to do the edit option if you do a mistake. But if I turn this on, how do I turn it on? So here I took a little break and I started recording again through a remote connection. So what this is basically remote, as in logging in from a different area, a different network. So I installed a client on it, and you can do that as well. You can use anything, TeamViewer, Itarian, many different tools that you can use for if you want to log in from different area. And that would be because maybe you're not at your place anymore and you want to continue your work. So this is how we do things in reality too. And the recording will start again. So here I'm going to click on connect now. And after that connect, what do I need to do? I still need to make an action. So if I go to the action and I'm going to click on start, and remember we point this to a CD, now it should ask me for the, for the, so if you point this to a CD, and sometimes if a CD may say that you need to click on any key to continue, and that works. So sometimes, but the new, you see that changed with this 2019 server and this new 2012. So I didn't see that option. It just came up, 2019 just came up straight, or maybe I missed it. It was so quick, but I didn't click anything. So here, this is where your 2019 server is getting installed on 2012. So if you're brand new to virtualization, this is the power of virtualization. As you can see, 2012 is running behind. That's the host, that's the hardware operating system. But inside the virtual operating system, I can now, you see this is separate from our main operating system, and I can install it. I can click next, I can click install, and I can then basically move on with other normal installation of operating system. So this is exactly the same thing that we did for this main host, but it's a different operating system. So here you go, we got the data center, and I'm going to click next and click next. Now this is the things that people may ask you, that do you know how to install an operating system on a virtual environment like Hyper-V or VMware, which we're gonna do later on. But you see, our Windows has started to running now. Now that is where, after this, it's more about you're getting a call that your Windows is slow, or maybe at some point somebody asks you, can we up the space for the C drive, or can we add another drive? This is such a common scenarios where we deal with this on a regular basis, not a daily basis, regular basis, because this window machine may need something more, and that's where, when you add more features to this server, people are gonna be using it more and more and more, and that's where you come across a space issue. Perfect example I can give you is if you run an FTP service, right? FTP, where you transfer your files from clients and stuff like that, like FileZilla, WinSCP, many more. So if you want to add new space, then of course you're going to then come back where? Now you can manage so many machines from this one area, right? You can add as much as this host can take. So I can come here, turn off this machine. I can do a lot of things with here now. Let's say I install this operating system. I'm fully done with it. I put a key in it. I put some softwares in it. I spent, let's say, 2 hours just to fix it, just to kind of make it ready. What do I need to do? Then I need to make a checkpoint. Now, in other virtualizations, usually they call it snapshot. Like VMware, they have a snapshot. I believe VirtualBox have a snapshot. So checkpoint is the same thing. So that 3 hours of work that I did, I can take a checkpoint of it, and that's it. And after that, if something goes wrong, let's say after 2 months, I can come back to that checkpoint and I'll save my time that I spent in the beginning. I can keep making more checkpoints if I think that, let's say for example, you want to install a software and you are not sure about it. It may cause an issues. It may have some type of malware, whatever, and it does have it, let's say. And then you can go back to the checkpoint that before installation that you did a checkpoint. So that's it. One checkpoint, few seconds, and you're back. Now, for new people, this is for you. If you're watching this for the first time, you may think, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. But remember, we have worked on this stuff in a real environment, and we didn't have these options back in the days. And that was a pain. Imagine if we had a malware and I spent 4 hours on a computer. Then I need to create that machine again, all over again, or I had to take a backup of it, and backup would take hours and hours and hours as well. I mean, that's a lot of work. So this type of options became very powerful for sysadmins and for companies, that they all make a checkpoint and bam, everything is done. I don't need to do anything. I can just go back to the checkpoint. I can reset it. I can pause it. I can save it. I can then save the whole system also. Let's say if something, let's say if I put one server installation. If you want to go back, you can just click connect, or you can, yeah, there you go, you can click connect like this. Let's say I install this operating system now, and I don't want to spend this time of installation. Then what do I do? Now when this is finished, there's an option called Sysprep. So when this is finished, I'll show it to you. When you open it up, you can take a Sysprep off this machine. What Sysprep will do is when this machine restarts, it will assign its own SSID, meaning its own special ID to this machine. Every time a machine gets restarted, you name it, that's it. You have a unique ID in there for these users, for the computer and everything. But if you want to make sure that you want to use this multiple times, and we call this imaging, or in a virtual environment, it's going to be the virtual disk image. So you basically Sysprep it. You run a Sysprep command and shut it down. So what we'll do is this will shut down like this. After this is done, right, you install everything on it, you did some basic configuration, and you want to call it master image, golden image, whatever you want to call it. And then what you will do after that, when you run a Sysprep command and it's shut down, so you go back to the source, that hard drive that we installed, so here, and what you do, you basically copy this. You copy this whole thing. It's gonna be probably a few GB, but you copy it and put it in a different folder. Let's say you want to name it copy from here. You don't want to say start from here or anything. Copy from here. Because this drive that you did a Sysprep is this is like a image. So you don't want to be using that again. You don't want to be using this from here actually. You copy it from here, you copy it to here. Then you make a new machine already here. Let's say you want to call it DC3. What you do is that you copy that hard disk and then put it here. This is the machine that then you want to create from then, because if you use this, then your machine is running from here. So that's not a image then. That's directly just like these other machines right here. So you want to be always using the copy option from here, and this is very powerful option. When we give our members labs, what do? We have 15 people taking live training. Of course, I'm not gonna sit there and make a virtual machine or tell help desk or support with me to let's go and just create 15 machines for every training that we do after 2 days or 3 days. That's impossible. So then we have these things like images. So I can just quickly, even from a script, I can create just a normal, like in one script, I can create like 15 machines if I have the ability, and then I will assign this hard disk to it. You see now, in the job that can be done for almost a day, that can take 24 hours now, or maybe few hours, or 8 hours, or 4 hours, still it's a lot of hours. That can be done in 5 minutes. So that's kind of like the power of virtualizations, and what it opens a lot of opportunities for you if you want to run it as a business and anything. And like I said in the beginning, it really, this is what you need to train yourself on, just to move around virtualization. And then you need to go to the settings. Basically, this is where I would like you guys to kind of like work on it. There's a replication too, but that's little advanced stuff. So I'm gonna come here, and let's say somebody asks for, okay, my machine is running slow. So you're going to turn off your machine, and then this is the things that you're going to be looking at. Processor, you put one processor. Some softwares even requires you to have at least 2 virtual processors to be able to run, so you need to up it. And then you need to go to the memory, you need to up that. If you're having a space issue, then of course you're going to come here to the hard disk area, and then you need to add more hard disk, and by clicking here and add, and then you can add a hard disk. So this is kind of like the basic overview of virtualization. Of course, there you go. So this is where what I was talking about, that you can turn off this machine and keep this image. Like right now, like this machine is like not ready at this point. But what I would like to do is, like, for example, you want to get into this server and then run a Sysprep. So let's go ahead and let's quickly create a password and do the Sysprep part, and then we can conclude this Hyper-V training for this virtualization session. So we're going to go into this, and when you work on servers, you need to understand the menu parts too, because some applications have different type. This is the application running web-based, have different one like VMware. So action, alt control delete. You're not using the alt control delete of your computer, okay? Most of the time people do that mistake, and there's like, why am I seeing a lock screen? Because you're using your own keyboard and you're telling your computer to do the alt control delete. So that's why in virtualization, these are the things you need to be careful. So now we have a 2019 server ready, and you should now think about things, right? You should think about, oh, okay, if I can do this from my machine or my server or the practice lab or the training that I'm taking, so what can I do with this now? I can create a domain controller. Okay, I can create a client. So then after that, I can open an Active Directory. I can open a group policy. I can do a software deployment. Oh, JavaScript Share are teaching everything that relates to in this environment, because we only teach in a domain connected environment. We train you for business, right? So now we have this ready. As you can see, the problem with this is going to be if you're running some type of, like my laptop has a lot of resolution, and my server don't have that type of resolution. So yeah, I'm going to have a little struggle here to move around here and there, but you can fix it. You can go online and how to fix it exactly if you want it to be like, running. But what are you going to do if you are working in a virtual environment? This is exactly like you're working in a real environment. So as a system administrator and as an IT person, are you going to sit in front of it, try to play around with these options? No, right? You have to make it ready so then you can remote into it. And that's what we did the first time for the host. So the first thing you guys should do is to go to the computer management, or better than computer management, in a server. It's an easy way. I'm going to show you right now. Here, let me just move this down. If you move this up and go to the server manager and go to the local server, click on this right here, the work group section. So these are the settings that I'm talking about. If I have some tedious type of settings and I need to allow this, click OK. I need to do this, and then like right now I'm creating an image for my members, right? My business is like, okay, I always create images for members. I have to work on these things to make sure that these are the things that are working in the labs and everything. So I need to work on all of this stuff. So what do I do here? I'm gonna work on it. I'm gonna come down here, and you see how I'm struggling with all these different type of views. So I'm gonna try to get away from it quickly as possible. But before doing that, what I would like to do is I'm gonna click on firewall, and I'm doing the same stuff that I did before. But one thing I want to show you now, that then I want to use this image, right? I don't want to waste my work that I did for this server. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off this. So right now, okay, I did two things that I felt this is important for my labs to work for my members and when I train them and stuff like that. What do I do right now? I don't want to waste my energy and work. So I'm going to right click here. I'm going to go to run, and I'm going to do Sysprep and just enter. And when I enter now, this is what I was talking about. You double click on it, generalize, meaning go out there, remove every SSID that you just created right now, and then shut this computer down. Out of the box experience, right? What is out of the box? It's going to keep everything in the server. That settings that I just did, that remote control, the firewall, it's going to keep that. It's not going to touch that. But it's going to remove the name of this machine. It's going to remove the username SSIDs, and it's going to shut it down. Then I'm not turning it on, because what is my next step after that? I need to copy this image now. So I'm going to wait for it first. So two things I'm going to do here. Once this machine is turned off, right now it's running, I'm going to make a checkpoint of it. So even if I'm working on DC2, I can go back to it very quickly. But I also want to take that virtual hard disk image, so then I can right click here and then, sorry, I can right click here and then create a new machine on the fly, and I'll show you that once this is shut down. So, and there are many other like an advanced things that we're not going to cover in our training, because like I said, then you are becoming more of a virtual system administrator rather than becoming a help desk. This is the part where help desk will stop, and of course company will teach you more if they want to, and company will have their own applications on virtualization. They will teach you that stuff because that's kind of normal. They may show you a few things that a sysadmin is doing repetitively and you may help them. So that is what kind of like, things that you may do. But try to understand that when you answer in the interview, be very confident, because you need to touch these things, like you need to create these things. If you don't have the ability, then you want to ask us to help you out. If you have the ability, then do it, because then you need to be talking about it. So right now it's turned off, right? So the first thing, I'm going to create a checkpoint. So here I create a checkpoint. Look at this. I create a checkpoint so I can go back to this place after when I do everything with this server. I can go back to it. But you don't want to delete this. You don't want to delete this because that will get deleted, right? But okay, well, how do I now do the image part? So I got DC2 right here. DC2 snapshots are there. And DC2, this is what I was looking for. I'm going to copy that and go back here and copy from here. So you see now it's copying that 8 gigs of file to this folder. So let's just assume that I spent 3 hours setting some tiny tedious things on that image, and now I want to basically change that. I don't want to do this work again. So I want to create, let's say, 6 domain controllers for my lab for the live training that I'm doing. Usually we have 2 people, 3 people, maximum 5 people in the live environment, and we got to do this before they start labs, right? Before they start their training on the first day. These are the kind of steps that we have to perform, and then through our online applications we connect them and everything, like VPN stuff, and then they get access. So here I want to click new virtual machine, and I'm going to click next. DC3, remember we created a DC3 folder. Now I'm going to point this to that folder. VMs DC3, and I'm going to click next, generation 1, and I want to create, let's say, 428, and I'm going to use the same network. This is the part. So use an existing virtual hard disk. Use this option, attaching an existing virtual, either VHD or VHDX format, and you can even do this part, but I'm going to use this one right here. You see, I'm not creating a new hard disk. I want to basically use my image now, right? I'm going to go back here, C drive, VM, DC, sorry, copy from here. So we put it in DC3. Where did I put that? Oh, sorry. We copied it there, but we didn't copy it back to DC3. So you do want to do that, because that was good. That's going to be a mistake right there if I directly go to the copy from here. So if I use that, that's it, your image is messed up, because then you need to create another image, because now you have created another SSID, and that's why you need to name it that way so you never forget. Copy from here, don't use it. Put that something in there like copy from here, don't use it. So then you always remember, okay, I'm not gonna create a virtual machine from that virtual hard disk. So here we are gonna basically go in there, and now it's almost done. And with this we will conclude our video for Hyper-V. And all right, done. So now I'm going to use this virtual hard disk. I'm going to click finish here, because I don't need to do anything else. It's already done. Everything else, the parts are done. So creating everything, and if I now turn this on, and if I, let's say, start, and now if I turn DC2 on, connect and start. So watch what happens there. So check this out. Both machines are Yeah, there you go. The CD part is actually there. It just, I think it was too fast in the beginning. But look at this. Both machines are on now. So this is the power of virtualization. You are on what? You are on 2012 server. That is your host. Then you have two 2019 servers running on the same hardware, using what memory? Using the memory that is available in the host. This memory right here, and this processors and everything. So this is what we call virtualization. And this is what we call virtualizations in terms of Hyper-V, Windows Server feature. So that this is kind of like the Hyper-V stuff. So again, after this, we will start on VMware. If you really like this video, please like it, subscribe, and let us know what you think. Did you learn something from it? And what do you think about it? Thank you so much.